Hey guys, Infidel1258. So I want to get into a conversation from a comment, and if you drop your comments on my videos, I will do my best to answer them, especially if there's some real meat on the bones. Leave your IGN and I'll send a thank you if I answer your question. This one's a topic I've tackled before, but it's one that needs, I guess, renewed comment because things are constantly changing. But person Lynch said, "Hey Dwayne, new player here. I'm only a month into the game and I can only put 20-30 bucks a month into my account. I put 25 bucks a couple days ago to buy a Silver League Sloan, but with the change in the rewards, I'm not able to buy it because if I bought it, I wouldn't have any DC left to rent life to play with Sloan. Instead, I just use the fund to rent and play at the moment. I have some suggestions. I hope they give us a choice for the SPS battle focus rewards. That we can either claim it and instantly be staked or burn it for DC right away. That would be cool." I was talking to Bulldog, Tails, and Hawks21 yesterday on Twitch. Not Twitch, on Twitter. And it was an audio only thing, and I think you can see it on Bulldog's Twitter if you guys are interested. But one of the things that was proposed is this auto staking business is maybe going to hamper some of our economy and some of our new player growth. And so, you know, it's timely that you mentioned that, Lynch. And one of the guys, might have been Bulldog, suggested that perhaps there could be a mechanic where you instantly burn it, but there's like maybe you take a certain discount on that. Like, look, you can have the SPS and you extract it over 4 weeks, or you can have 75% of the value today in DEC. Maybe that's a thing. That way it's like instant gratification, but there's also a disincentive to do it, which I think is important because the developers really want to disincentivize kind of that immediate extraction of value from the system. They really want to see that it stays there and that it gets that the stake grows and grows. And frankly, you're going to want to see that your stake grows and grows. Your SPS is something you're going to want to foster and develop. You're not going to want to burn that bag, because if you run out of SPS, you're not going to see more rewards. Plus, in the long term, this is where the core value proposition is going to land with Splinterlands. SPS is Splinterlands. Like, this is going to be governance. This is going to be where the airdrops are decided. This is going to be how you pay for packs. This is everything. Yes, DEC will still have a role and be important, but SPS is so much more important in the long run that I think ultimately you're going to want to develop that bag. So let's finish the comment here. He wants to either claim it or be able to burn it so we can get DEC. We new players still use the rewards to rent while we slowly build our deck. That's the thing, isn't it? And that's where I want to spend some time commenting and talking about this kind of budget. And that's what I want the rest of the video to be about. Really, like, what would I do with 20 or 30 bucks a month? It's not much, but you know, it's not nothing. And frankly, it's a lot from some of the world's, for some of the people in the world, that would be a lot of money to spend on a discretionary investment or a video game. I'm going to say there's a lot you could do with that, frankly. And I like what you've said here is you wanted to buy a certain summoner, Sloan, and you felt that would have been a wise long-term investment, and you were going to start to acquire that now because you're expressing an acknowledgement that the price was reasonable. But then that had to be weighed against your ongoing ability to sustain your deck and have a multitude of monsters with which to play and rank up and earn more rewards. And I agree. That is always the question. You weigh you have X amount of investment value, whether it's $20 or $2,000, and you can buy assets with that, or you can rent assets with that. You can play this account, or you can play multiple accounts. There's like, the question always boils down to, given your amount of investment, how can you stretch it maximally? That's what it's boiling down to. And you never have enough to do all the things, period. Full stop, never. And for I guess I'm a whale. I am. By most people's standards, I don't feel like I'm a whale in this game. I've just been playing the game so long, but I have a massive deck. So yeah, I mean, I'm a whale, but I only have like 15 plots of land. I want 15 regions of land. Like, you know what I mean? I want thousands of plots, not 15. I want way more cards, not a few more. And you are at a different stage and everyone's on their own journey, but like wherever you're at now, you want to move the needle maximally with as few dollars as possible. And that's the topic at hand. And so I would say you're on the right track first and foremost, because you're weighing that before you even came to drop the question. And you're like, should I buy a card or rent cards? And renting cards is totally viable. It's a viable option and it can translate into significant returns. Right now, if you were to go into the buy market and you were to look at Sloan, Sloanie is going to cost, he's gone up a little bit. $2.10 for market value, bid of 196. You're talking, for a level 4, you're talking $55. And I think these prices are going to go up in the future. That's almost a separate video, but I have to say this is maybe the cheapest summoner in the game. And I think all the summoners are going to appreciate in value, especially after land launches, because we need those summoners on the land, and that's going to lock away so many cards that the prices can't help but go up once land launches, assuming land is successful in its launch and is exciting for its purpose. I think it will be. I think it will function. I think it will be desirable. I think the assets that come out of land are going to be deeply meaningful. If those assumptions are true, then these cards will be way more expensive, including General Sloan. And so I would argue, if you can get these assets, you should get these assets while they're at these prices. Even if they ultimately go down a little bit, I would argue dollar cost averaging is the play. So if you had $20 or $30 a month, I might come in and buy, one of him and a couple of key, if that's where you're starting. If you're starting with Sloan, one thing I like to do is I'd come through and I'd look at not just my summoners, but I'd look at my white team and my neutral team, because they can play together. And I'm going to start with commons, and I'm going to look at the cheapest cards first. Do you have the Lion? Do you have the Conjurer? Do you have one BCX of Scrapper? And frankly, you could get one BCX of all of these, right? You're talking like maybe $1. Yeah, maybe $1.50 to get one of everything on the screen right now. And then take a step back from that, because that's building just a white deck, but some of these are older. So you could go ahead and click modern and then narrow it down even more. On this screen, we're talking 70, $1.70, $2. We're probably talking $2.60 to get one of every card on the screen. These are modern only. One BCX would be meaningful if you had a level 1 Sloan, and this would be 15 cards you don't need to buy or rent ever again, right? These would be cards in your deck that you've got, and now you're good on that. And that would be $3 here, $3 for your summoner. That's $6, and then you got $14 left over to rent cards with for the remainder of the month. I would think that would be the play. In the nutshell, that's the play. Build the assets, do it in a strategic manner, acquire a full Splinter, and you might even go ahead and scroll down and be like, yeah, you know what, Sandworm is really key, so I'm going to get one of those for $1.50. I would argue that's worth it. Some of these archery monsters might be expensive for what they are, but again, you're using Sloan, so it is meaningful to give your Sloan monsters with which to synergize, right? Archery, Sloan plus archery. Therefore, do you have enough archery monsters? And that'd be how I'd play that. Spend $6 or $10 buying assets this month. Don't sit and wait till you can afford a level 4 Sloan. That would be great. But just start dollar cost averaging into a Sloan position, so that because if Sloan goes up to $4 from $2, you're going to be disappointed. And I would argue Sloan has been amongst this is near the lowest Sloan will probably ever be, and it was like $1.50 or something at one point. So I'm arguing this is not a bad price. Maybe it goes down a little, but I'm saying that's a pretty decent price. And I just showed you the common whites and neutrals. But I mean, we can and we should look at the rares. You definitely want a Crystal Smith. I think Gargoyle Devil makes a lot of sense, especially for the 2 cent price point. Frankly, buy as many of them as you can for like half of your money. You're putting 20 bucks in a month. Spend $10 on acquiring these 1 BCX cards. It's so that you never have to rent them again. And if you can do better than 1 BCX, great. Like a Crystal Smith is going to be one that you would love to see up here. In the near future, you're going to want that 25 BCX 2 damage output tank healer. So understand which cards are key. Focus on getting those ones like higher levels, including that General Sloan, but stretch your dollar. So you've only got 20 bucks. You're only going to spend half of it on buying cards. Which ones are going to move the needle? Just that thoughtfulness that you've already expressed by deferring your purchase of the Sloan. Take that thoughtfulness and now apply to which of these monsters would be most meaningful. And I'm going to say, as I've always said, you want to focus on building your tanks. You want to have carry cards. And then you want to look at the support cards after those. So your tanks are obviously the monsters that are going to stand in the front and take the beating. They usually have high hit points. They often have melee, but not always. And then your carry cards are often cards that are epic or legendary, and they are ones that can turn the tides of battle definitively. Not everybody's in the game is going to have them, and that's why they're so pivotal. So like a card like a Lunacari Mistress is quite powerful in the lowest levels without a press, working really well to double this attack into a 4. Or I would argue Jim Renova is in that realm of conversation. Legionnaire probably at the bronze. And you can, one of the ways you can, if you say to yourself, well, how do I really discern which are going to be the best cards for me to invest in? Come over here to summonerlab.com, go into the cards, go into your preferred splinter, click on monsters, and then you're going to check out you can check out every tier. Start with common, and we want to go into modern specifically. So look at the win rates, 61%, 50%. Most of these are a coin toss, right? Anything in the 45 plus range is a card you almost certainly want. And I would argue Pelacor Conjurer, though he is lower, is a necessary card, especially at higher levels. These ones are pretty whatever, but if you can afford them, I'm going to say get them. 40 cents for a 30% win rate? Nope. But mind you, this is like across all leagues. So if you're playing on bronze, use the bronze data. If you're playing in silver, I guess you would be playing in bronze. So focus in on this one. There's that. See, the Pelacor Conjurer at bronze has a 48% win rate. There, anything above like the 45% win rate, you're going to want to make sure you get a copy of. And then you're going to want to check your rares and do the same thing. And you're going to want to check those epics and legendaries and do the same thing. And see, some of these cards are like a real strong indicator of victory. 60%, 60, 60, 60. These are carry cards. And even 56% is that's a significant win rate. And now you do want to analyze how many matches it's competing in, but anything over 100 matches is pretty reliable in terms of the win rate data. That becomes a big enough sample size. So in a nutshell, if you had 20 bucks a month, take $10 and invest in assets that are going to permanently be yours. That will stop you from having to rent them again in the future, and it's going to begin that process of building your own deck. It's going to enable you to win more because you know what you're using and you're not constantly putting together a piecemeal deck of cards, renting what is available on any given day. You're going to know them. You're going to know how to use them. You're going to use their synergies wisely and win more often. And then that's going to be one thing in your rearview mirror. You're always going to say, I've got that. And then slowly you're going to identify which cards would add to that. But it's always this case of you're never going to be able to buy them all. So it's always a case of, I have $10 to invest in cards this month. Which cards I'm going to buy? Which ones are going to move the needle the most? Summoners are deeply important, but they are expensive. Getting 1 BCX of that Sloan is going to be a nice move toward your ultimate goal, and then do it again next month and again next month and again next month until you feel like your silver, your white deck, or whichever splinter you're building is built out enough to move on to the next. And that might be getting your summoner to level 2, or it might be getting that summoner to level 4. It's going to be up to you, but I would recommend focusing on getting 1 BCX of everything, and then focus when your budget allows to get to level 2 summoner and supporting level of those monsters. And that's equipping your white team to be strong and effective at bronze battles. and then moving into your second splinter and doing the same for death or for whatever your second favorite investment splinter is. And repeat until you get 4 of them. That would be my recipe. And then start climbing into that level 4 summoner threshold where you're now a strong silver deck, and so on and so forth, repeating up all the way as high as you want. Diamond champion. It's, you know, whatever, however far you want to get. But that's going to give you $10 a month to rent, and that's going to obviously be a tighter budget. But you can do it as long as you're, I guess, being frugal in the first few months so that you can acquire the maximum number of playable cards for the least financial cost. So in the first month of doing this, focus in on these cards that are less than 10 cents and try to stay away from these ones that are going to be individually $1. Not that they aren't important, they are. And they have good win rates, this one in particular. Plus it synergizes with Sloan. But the point is, if you have to spend $1 on that and you only have $10 to spend, again, how can I move the needle maximally with the minimum investment? So be really frugal and take time discerning through that process. That's going to be your recipe to success. And that's true whether you're getting started for $20 or $200 or $2,000 every month. And whether it's at bronze or champion, it's the same process of thinking through what could I do to move the needle today from my position to improve where I'm aiming. And thank you so much for the comment, Lynch. I'm going to send you a little thank you. I guess while I'm waiting on the steak, I'll just comment a little bit briefly, but I'm not going to make this the focus. Just again, if you can avoid burning the SPS, you should, because you're going to want that SPS, because that's going to increase your returns for the rank rewards. But also, this is the core of Splinterlands. Having said all of that, though, you got to pay for it somehow, right? If you can continually put in $20 US every month to buy credits with, I think you're going to be fine, though. And you can, for the most part, abandon this idea that you need to burn that SPS. That would be my strong recommendation. And hopefully this DEC can help you out with that rental process. Thanks, Lynch, for the comment. Thank you, everyone, for the time and attention. Please drop a comment below with your questions, your concerns, your feedback, and also leave your in-game name so if I can send you a little thank you afterwards. Okay, guys, take care. God bless.